got the okay from there.
Which clock do we go by? Are we going to call it 6 o'clock? Okay, good. Well, good evening, everyone. We'll begin our Board of Appeals meeting for the City of Holland. Board members are regular citizens of Holland who have volunteered to be and have been appointed by City Council to consider applications to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Housing Board of Appeals, and Construction Board of Appeals, and for accommodations for persons with disabilities. The board must interpret each application as it relates to city ordinances. The board is not empowered to rezone or to take any action that could be considered rezoning. The agenda, copies are available in the back, is in the order the applicants were received by the city. The presence of 4 board members is required for a quorum, and it takes 4 concurring votes for an approved application. We do have a quorum here tonight, so that's good. When your application is called, we ask that you come to the microphone and state your name and address. We will hear the applicant first, and then anyone supporting the application, followed by anybody opposing it. After the public hearing is closed, there will be no other opportunity for further public comment related to the application. Decisions of the board are final and are effective on the day of such decision. However, applicants may appeal the decision to the circuit court in accordance with state law. If you elect not to stay for our deliberations and decisions, you may call the Community and Neighborhood Services Department after 8:30 tomorrow morning to learn the results. Meetings are streamed online, live, and recorded and available to view on the city's YouTube channel. If our board has no objection to the agenda, will our clerk read the first item?
Yes, so the first application is for 751 Central Avenue, application number 22.09Z. Carl Betcher is requesting a special exception to expand the existing bed and breakfast facility at his home at 751 Central Avenue. He is requesting permission for a total of 6 guest rooms, where he currently has 4 guest rooms, in addition to the owner's quarters. The Board of Appeals can approve this request if certain conditions are met, 39-4.02C and 39-12.12D8.
Okay, with that, would the applicant rather, please address the podium. Your name and address, please. And first, I would like to say thank you for your patience as well.
No, that's
I know
fine.
we tried this last month, and I was going to say we failed, but I don't want to say that. But thank you.
You're welcome. My name is Carl Betcher, and my address is 751 Central Avenue in Holland.
Okay, can you explain to us your request and give us some
Sure.
background of where you're at and what you're
Yeah.
going?
So my wife and I opened our bed and breakfast this past spring. We were approved and got the licensing this past spring to open, and we have 4 units right now, but they're all on our 2nd floor, which we renovated. And we've noticed since we've opened, we get a lot of elderly guests that come in, and they have a hard time managing getting up and down the stairs. So we wanted to expand and add 2 rooms that would be on the 1st floor of our facility. So that's one of the reasons that we wanted to expand. But so far, things have gone pretty well for our bed and breakfast. We've been getting pretty good bookings throughout the spring and summer. We're kind of waiting to see what happens this fall and winter to see how many bookings we get. So, but that's the gist of what we're trying to do, is get a couple rooms on the 1st floor area.
Great. Do we have any questions from the board?
You mentioned elderly. Are you, is there ADA accommodations included in your design or currently in your facility that will be utilized?
I would like to do that. I have an architect, Steve Nyhoff, that
Okay.
drew up the some of the drawings, but I want to talk to him. I want to try and incorporate that in there where it would be.
Okay. And you're still gonna be a resident there?
Yes, correct.
Just because I don't see it in the application, I
Mhm.
did a drive-by today, and I feel like I can picture the property, but in the parking lot to the west, which will
Mhm.
be right in front of where the new addition is to be,
Yeah.
do you have a fence or landscaping? Wasn't there something there between you and the neighboring house to block the view of the parking lot?
No, there hasn't been.
There hasn't been?
No,
Can we-
just some of the shrubs that are there now.
Okay. Do we have an aerial of that? Are we allowed to look at that, or, I mean, I don't even know how updated it is.
I think this picture's from 2021, so we're looking at this. Yep, looks like it's on the neighboring property.
Okay.
And this was before the
That's-
driveway was installed.
Yep.
So there's a fence that completely surrounds our yard, but there's nothing on the side of the driveway between
Okay.
our property and the neighbor's property.
Yeah, but
They
then-
have some
yeah,
pretty
they had-
substantial bushes there. That will be your neighbors.
Yeah, I think they're actually, most of the bushes are on my property.
And I just asked, because one of the items we have to address is, it says, has the owner provided or will the owner provide landscaping and screening, natural vegetation or fencing to buffer and soften the parking area to adjacent residential properties?
Okay,
How is that enough determined, or how is that determined? Staff answer that, or no? I mean, like, when you do fencing, sometimes it's like, you know, so much you can see through and so much you can't. There's percentages and stuff like that. I mean,
Right, we normally would, it's a kind of a generic, it doesn't have to meet a certain percentage, just has to reasonably provide some buffering from almost a commercial parking lot to a residential neighbor. So that could be, I mean, you can't, it doesn't have to completely block.
okay.
and there are some shrubs and bushes in between the two.
So if you're concerned that potentially down the road, the neighbors, for some reason, don't water their plants and they die, you could make it a condition that if this ever, this existing landscape buffer disappears, that he take the responsibility to replace something of a reasonable nature.
Thank you.
I think Carl had mentioned that the shrubs are actually on his
Yeah.
part of the property line.
Yeah,
Is that, when we look at the picture now, I can see that fence extends north a little ways. Is that purple property line just a little bit off?
It could be, yeah.
Okay.
It's
So,
an
yeah, it looks like-
approximation, not exact.
Yeah, okay. So it looks like that those shrubs, if you just took a line from the
From
fence
yeah, it
west,
looks like they're inside.
looks like they're on his property, not the neighbors. So
Yeah, I would agree.
a little bit of clarification there. So you're not adding any additional, like parking or driveway to
no, we have a second
this addition?
driveway where we have additional parking that I was planning on. We would be able to have 2 more spots there. If you
Okay.
look on the other side, it's a pretty large driveway on the other side as
Mhm.
well.
So you won't have any issue with somebody like parking someone else in, one guest parks in behind another property?
No,
There's gonna be
I
enough
shouldn't,
space
because
for
I can
everybody.
put lines in that show where the guests need to park.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did in the other existing driveway where they're using.
Okay. I don't know if we have the blueprint on slide, is that slide 4 or 5? How many bathrooms is available to the guests with this new addition?
Yeah, there's, each unit would have its own bathroom.
Oh, 1 to 1. Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm actually looking at adding another bathroom inside there because we have the outside area that we're gonna be
Oh.
putting some decking in for the guests to use, that we want a bathroom for that purpose as well.
Okay.
So it would have 3.
Great. Any other questions from the board to the applicant? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your coming in again. Would like to open up the public hearing for this, and would like to start with, is there anybody here wanting to speak in support of the application? Seeing none, I would ask if there's anyone who would speak in opposition to the application. Once again, seeing no one. And would like to ask staff, there has been little to no communication from neighbors or anybody from the mailings that went out for this.
We have not received any communication.
Great. So with that, I would like to close the public hearing and go into deliberation with the board on this. Is there any other discussions from the board that we would like to go through?
I might suggest adding a condition of maintaining that landscape buffer.
Outstanding. So we would want to put something in there that says that if,
Do we have a motion? We're in deliberations. We need to get.
well, we're just adding that. Would
Okay.
that be all right?
That
Right,
needs to
we
be
can
added
add
to
that
a
to a
motion.
motion. Once
Adding
one
to the
motion.
motion. Okay.
Because then the person who makes the motion has to accept the amendment.
Well, then I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And your reason there.
And sorry, approve with conditions. They've met the criteria for 39.402C. The lot is larger than the minimum 15,000 square foot in size required. And the last piece we discussed was a buffer between the parking lot and any neighboring properties, and there is an existing buffer that we can see. So are we ready for conditions?
The buffer, according to the description here, could be landscape.
Yep, per the description. The conditions I would propose were to maintain the landscape buffer, that the public lodging license with the city clerk be updated in accordance with chapter 26, that the property must continue to be owner occupied during its use as a bed and breakfast, and that the conversion and construction shall conform to all housing, building, plumbing, heating, and electrical codes for the city of Holland.
Do you want to clarify that you're discussing maintaining the landscaping buffer on the north side of the property?
Oh, specify it's the north side.
It's the north, that it's the north between the residential neighbor and not necessarily the parking lot to the south?
Right, right. Yep, the maintaining the landscaping buffer on the north side of the property between the closest next residential house.
And then do you want to expound any on those criteria that were mentioned in 39-4.02C, specifically what those items entailed?
I can. So 39-4.02C has number 3, general standard for 1 to 8 guest rooms. A, the property owner shall reside on site. That is a yes. B, the use shall comply with all requirements of chapter 26, the city code of ordinances. And that's a yes, they're currently in compliance. Full bathroom facilities shall be available at a ratio of at least 1 bathroom to every 2 guest rooms, in addition to separate full bathroom facilities for the owner. That's a yes. A minimum of 1 parking space shall be provided for each guest room, in addition to a minimum of 1 space for the resident owner. Each space shall be independently accessible to a street. That is a yes. The space in the existing driveway areas for both driveways covers that. The establishment shall be permitted to have 1 identification sign not larger than 6 square feet mounted in the ground or on the wall of the building. Ground mounted sign shall not exceed 4 feet in height and be set back a minimum of 10 feet from all property lines. It says this section shall supersede Article 39-8. There is a sign, a post sign in the front yard there. And guests shall stay for no more than 21 consecutive days. That's a yes to our knowledge.
Outstanding. So we have the motion. Can we call for a vote, please?
Yes, so the motion is to approve with the listed conditions. Fusak?
There was before you gave all those conditions.
Yes.
Shay?
Yes.
Bedard?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Barr?
Yes.
Motion to approve passes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Moving on to our second agenda item, 536 West 17th Street. Will you please approach the podium and state your name and address, please?
Jason Uhas, 500 Snapdragon Lane in DeWitt, Michigan. I work for Highland Ventures, Legacy, and what was Family Video, which is no longer Family Video. So we own the building there, and what we're proposing to do is add on about 1,200 square feet as a storage area for potential tenant Dollar General. One of the challenges we've come across in that district is there's a ceiling or a roof height difference. And what we propose to do is just extend the building 20 feet out, matching the exact facade that is there right now. And I believe the code would have to require us to raise that up, so it would look like two different buildings or two different roof heights and ceiling lines there on that. And so we're asking for a variance to be able to maintain that look in the building versus having it chopped up with most of the building looking like it currently does, and then the 20 feet of extension coming up above it. And I've got our contractor, Nate Bingaman, with me as well, who's much more versed in the technical aspect of the roof pitch and answering some questions on that and why we think this would be a better option than moving forward with the different ceiling heights or roof heights.
Great. Thank you. And are we okay? Should we have read Mallory have read the applicant? I skipped that part.
Oh. Yeah.
Mallory, will you please get me back in line?
Yes. So this is for address 536 West 17th Street, application number 22.10Z. Russ McConnell, representing Family Video Movie Club, Inc., is requesting a variance or interpretation to construct an addition to the building located at 536 West 17th Street. The addition would have a first story height of 10 feet where 16 feet is required. The Board of Appeals can approve this request if certain conditions are found to exist. 39-3.16, 39-3.08, and 39-13.03.
Thank you very much. And since we've already heard your request, I would ask if there's any comments or questions from the board.
A question that I have for you is this the first tenant that you have considered for this property?
Yeah, we've not had any interest for leasing that building since we closed. The video store's closed, I think, March 1st of 2021. So this is the only company we've had that has had any serious interest in leasing.
I see that the property has not been, I don't have any history, I don't see any history of it being listed on the MLS system, which would be, industry standard for exposing to the market. Am I mistaken on that?
No, you're correct. So the owner, one family owns every family video building in the country. So there's about 800 buildings we own. And he prefers not to use any sort of real estate agent or anything, because typically their method is put a sign in the yard. They don't really work the property. He's got a team of guys at our office that actively reach out, trying to find ideally national tenants. In this case, this would be a Dollar General, but Aspen Dentals, things like that he tries to work. So, versus someone posting and praying on his property, on a sign in a parking lot. So he doesn't list any of his properties.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So it's been vacant, you said, since March of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been
About a year
and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So in that time, it has not been put out on the market, like you said, and it has just been done as a group have been within Family Video,
Mm-hmm.
or can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Is it just Family
Well,
Video?
it was Family
Or is it-
Video, yeah.
Okay. They've been reaching out and trying to find but being very meticulous about finding who would occupy their buildings, I guess I ask, why did they choose to grab Dollar General,
Sure.
knowing that Dollar General, in order to, presumably in order for Dollar General to find the building on this property feasible for them to move into it, would require an expansion?
Sure.
Was there no one that was approached that could occupy the building as is?
Understood. Yeah, so, and we have our guys at our home office that are cold calling and trying to find, somebody. So locally, I live here in Michigan. I go around door to door. I've been in Holland, whatever, up and on plazas, seeing if people are unhappy with their landlords, just physically door knocking as I try to find. I take care of all the properties in Michigan, but I also will try to lease the properties out. So as I go door to door, different plazas, all different industries, and try to find somebody that's interested in moving. One of the challenges when we built all the buildings, they're 6,000 or 7,000 square feet. 6,000 is tough to lease to somebody. Most people we try to find either want 1,200, 2,400 square feet. Trying to find somebody to occupy 6,000 square feet is just not an ideal square footage for most tenants. Dollar General has leased approximately 180 buildings with us, and we're in a phase right now with them where they're taking our buildings. They're looking for more space, and so we're adding on. We have projects going really all over our footprint. We have in I think is doing one in Roseville for us, but we got a number of projects going where they will take the full space. They want a little more space, and so the owners fine with adding on to meet their needs. These are the buildings we haven't been able to lease for whatever reason. The square footage or the market isn't expanding like in some other markets, and so we just haven't found anybody that would take that.
So the building had not just been put on MLS for sale, but also
It's not for sale, yeah.
Right, but also has it been publicly announced, and is like were signs posted that this building is available for lease? And
It's on CoStar and things like that. It's not. He doesn't sell any of his properties. So there's no listings for any of his properties. We're leasing them. And like last year, we leased 218. We signed 218 leases. So the leasing has been well. He has not been motivated to sell anything. People approach to buy them occasionally, but the leasing's been going well. And so if we can find, like Dollar General is willing to take a large number of our buildings that are vacant. So if we can, we'll have to accommodate them.
So when was it available for lease?
Right when Family Video closed.
So March of 2021, it's been available for lease, and have not been able to find a tenant to take a lease in that place?
No, we've had no interest in that one.
Okay. So we haven't had it on MLS for sale, but we've had them reach out, to the market broadly, I would say?
Yeah, I would say locally I do,
hey,
and our
this is
office does
available for lease,
nationally.
And
And
at this point, no business has been willing to occupy it.
Nope.
And it's been on, you said CoStar.
Yeah, they're in
Various
CoStar,
commercial
Crexy, some of the leasing. You
Sales and
typically won't
leasing.
find them in the sale categories because
Yep.
he doesn't sell them, but you'll find them under the leasing
Okay.
ones. Yeah.
I mean, we just want to make sure that avenues are being exhausted to put a tenant in there that's not going to need.
In addition, understood. Yep.
Yeah, because I was a little bit worried because it sounded like you're very cherry picking who you want to take the building.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
have to ascertain if it's just, we really want a Dollar General here, would you please
No,
let
he's not.
Dollar General
No.
in here?
They're good tenants because they've taken so many buildings, and a lot of them, they took all of our larger 8,000 square foot buildings, and now they're at a point where they want more. There's a number of them that just aren't the right size. They're sweet spots in that 7,000 to 8,000 square feet, and they've taken a number of them that were already built that way, and now we've got some that are smaller, and they just need the room for storage and their merchandising carts and things like that they have. Yeah.
Great. Do we have anything else from the board for the applicant? Super, then I would thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I would I would open the public hearing and see if there's anybody that would like to speak in support of the application. Seeing none, I would ask, is there anyone in opposition of the application? Once again, seeing none, I would then now like to close the public hearing on that and ask for deliberation from the board, if anybody has any comments from the board on this.
I'm concerned that it hasn't been exposed to the market in the way that the industry standards are typically done. That's my concern.
And I can definitely see that too. It's not in our local MLS, but I mean, CoStar is the national standard.
Is your
Sure.
microphone on?
Or I'm not talking into it, sorry. It's not in our local MLS, but CoStar is a national standard for commercial sales and leasing, you know, such as like a LoopNet, and our local version of that would be Car West Michigan, not a Grand Rapids, but I don't know if there's any way for us to discern that.
I don't know that either.
I had a question for, I guess, city staff, Trish or Dan. Could you give us a little bit of a background on the fact that this building was compliant when it was built? At some point, the ordinance changed so that it's no longer compliant. What's the timeline on that, and what's the story with the ordinance change regarding, you know, specifically, I guess, the 16-foot? Kind of give us an idea of what maybe the spirit of the change for that was?
The goal when the new ordinance, which we have now, is called Unified Development Ordinance, that went into effect a number of months ago. And it rezoned a number of properties throughout the city into a more scripted, conforming building envelope, so that they could encourage probably more mixed use and more conformity with a storefront style, which would include being closer to the road. Also having a first floor story of 16 feet to kind of allow for the stories above it to be a little more diminutive than the first story, so the first story is more prominent. That's one of the reasons why they went with the 16 feet. Kind of to provide something similar to what we would call downtown Holland, for a mixed-use style building. Now, this particular building was built a number of years ago and was built in conformance with the current ordinance at the time, thereby making it a legal, non-conforming structure.
Okay, thank you.
So it can be used if there weren't any proposed changes to it. And
Correct. It
so
could be
it's-
used, it could be modified, as long as it was modified in conformance with the requirements of the zone district that it is located in.
Any other comments from anybody, board, staff, on this?
I just want to point out the intention of these, of these codes with the UDO is, to be looking forward and moving forward, and the master plan and what the planning commission sees going forward. The goals are to, move into a higher density, building upwards, things of that nature, closer setbacks. And I just want to note that, I don't know how important it is, but that to me it feels that expanding with the existing ceiling height would be not moving towards the future and actually kind of moving away from the goals set.
I wonder about with the building having been available for lease for 16, 17, 18 months. do you reckon that that has been a long enough time to ascertain that there hasn't been much business interest in actually occupying that building? Or does that tend to be, do you think, more, I don't know, maybe it's a national chain thing, but maybe some local businesses too might prefer to own the building, and had the building been put out on the open market, you know, within the last 18 months, it might have found a buyer to occupy it, whereas with the lease, maybe they just say, well, we don't want to lease this space. I'm wondering about.
I'd like to clarify that, you know, exposure to the market, MLS, all these things are both equally applicable to sales and leases. So we're not particularly talking about selling versus leasing. That it's kind of, you know, the channels are similar unless someone disagrees.
I think the one thing that we discussed in study session was about this change in the zone, you know, in the zoning regulations. And I think it should be strongly considered the weight of those changes in relationship to this legal non-conforming building. And I appreciate the comments about sales and leasing and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think the weight of that is greater than the change in the zone, in the zoning regulations.
Sure.
So just please consider that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the study session also, we discussed that the city is looking at that and trying, and there could be some proposed changes to alleviate some of that pressure. if
And I would like
that's the
to
right way say it.
direct to anyone who is interested in making a motion to try to cover the tests that are on, that are in place for this type of request.
Thank you.
I would make a motion.
Okay,
I would make a motion to approve this with the findings of fact, you know, sorry.
and
Support.
we have support. Please, your finding of facts.
Sorry, yeah. Our questions are, is the need for the variance due to unique circumstances or physical conditions of the property involved and not the applicant's personal or economic difficulty, such as narrowness, shallowness, shape, water, or topography? I have a yes on that. The current property owner or previous owner do something.
Excuse, just a second. In terms of answering the questions, it would need to have some reasons why
Okay, yeah.
for the yes. It can't be just a yes.
Sure. These circumstances are unique because of the change in the zoning code with the UDO.
Yeah, the physical conditions of the building
Right.
in its current legal non-conforming
Yes.
condition and subsequent change with the UDO.
Good. So then, did the current property owner do something that created the need for the variance? No, because this change in the ordinance occurred quite recently, and that's the choice of the city. Will strict compliance with the 16-foot tall building addition unreasonably prevent the property owner from using the property for an allowed use, or will complying with the rules be unnecessarily burdensome? We are finding that it would be burdensome. It doesn't physically make all that much sense to abide by the 16-foot rule, and then also based on our findings with discussing from the representative of the owner that it has been exposed to the market and there hasn't been interest in it as is. And then is the 10-foot building height request the minimum necessary, Or is there another amount of setback that would provide similar relief? I think we mean height. And we are saying that that is the minimum so that it matches the current roof line and ceiling. And do you think the requested variance will cause a negative impact on the neighbors? No, because the function of this building would maintain the same and just be larger.
Thank you. So we have a motion, second. We have the facts and findings. We're all good there. Can we have a roll call, please, Mallory?
Yes, the motion is to approve Shea,
Yes.
Bedard,
Yes.
Fusak,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Motion to approve passes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We have one other item on the agenda, some old business that we need to take care of. Do we need to have that read?
Yes. so
It
this
should be
is-
read, and then there need to be a motion to take it off the table
Great.
and voted on, and then you can consider it.
Super, thank you. Can you please read it, Mallory?
Yes, this is for the application tabled at the July 28, 2022 meeting for 493 West 32nd Street, application number 22.07Z.
Thank you. We would like to, is there any deliberation that we need? We talked about this in the study session about what's going on with this property.
Hold on just a second, though.
Yeah.
Before you start talking about, you'd need a motion to take it off the table. And then you need to vote a second and a vote on that motion.
I'd
Thank
like to
you.
make a motion to take it off the table.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion to take it off the table and a second. Can we have a roll call, please, Mallory?
Yes, Bedard,
Yes.
Shea,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Fusak,
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So we're denying it. We really don't have to do any other discussions with it then at this point, since it's a done deal. Appreciate that. Thank you. I thought we had to recap it for some reason, but no.
We've got it off the
I think-
table now.
Now we have to
need
discuss
to
it.
deal with it.
I'd like to make a motion to deny. And the denial is based on the fact that the city council has made some changes and.
Before we finish that motion.
Yes, sir.
There is someone here in the audience, I'm assuming they're not the owner, and the applicant, but we should clarify whether anyone is here for a public hearing on this.
Should we, okay, so we should open a public hearing on this matter? Is there anybody needing to speak in favor of the application? Anybody, not seeing anybody? Is there someone that would like to speak in opposition to the application?
Now
Don't-
continue with your motion to deny.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to deny because the city council has made changes and the applicant actually needs to make an application, new application for the, because there's a new process through the planning commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have the denial and the motion and the second it. Can we have a roll call, please, Mallory?
Yes, so the motion is to deny Bedard,
Yes.
Fusak,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Shea,
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Motion to deny passes.
Outstanding. So I take, that clears our agenda item. I believe the only thing we would have to do at this point is have a motion for.
Nope.
Nope.
Minutes.
Minutes. He doesn't have
So
that.
close.
Minutes. Can we approve the minutes from, boy, when was that? July, right?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as proposed.
Second?
We have a second?
Second.
Anybody gonna take the second on that?
Devin seconded it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not hear that. Okay, can we just have a voice vote on that, please? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you. So the minutes are approved. Now can we move on to let's going home? And can we
You did
have a
great.
motion
You did a
to
great job today. Excellent.
Can we have a motion to dismiss then?
No, we're gonna lay it, just gonna hang it out here, buddy. I'll make a
I'll
motion.
ma-
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to dismiss.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. Let's have a great evening.